Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV. I hope you guys are well, wherever it is that you may be around the world. Big up to everyone that's already here. It is that new owner show, that new owner update show. We're going to go through everything in regards to news today around the new owners, what we've seen, what we've heard, give our own thoughts and opinions, hear what you guys have got to say in the chat as well. We're not only going to be talking about the news around Roman Abramovich, what we heard today, we're also going to be talking about news all around Todd Boehly as well, news all around some comments from Stephen Pagluka as well, and Broughton. There's a lot's coming out on that as well, and it's all coming from what they call the tier ones, the journalists, the Matt Laws, the Nizar Kinsellas, the Simon Phillipses. We've got a bit of Chelsea transfer tweets to go through as well. All of that to come your way, guys. All of that to come your way. I know Liverpool are playing Villarreal tonight, and as a rule, I don't usually like to stream when there's a game on. But let's be serious. Who cares about Liverpool going through to the final against Villarreal? They're 2-0 up. No one cares. No one cares. But all I care is that all of you guys that are in the chat already, big up to every single one of you. Make sure that you're smashing that like button, guys. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new to GNA TV as well. We've got quite a lot of streams for you this week as well to go through, which we'll be talking about in a second. But before we move forward, let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV, and I hope you guys are well wherever it is that you may be around the world. Big up to every single one of you in the chat. Over 30 of you guys here already. Let's get them likes up, GNA TV community. The best community on the planet for sure. There is not a better community than the GNA TV community. They know what time it is. They know as soon as that bell notification goes, as soon as that alert goes, they know what time it is. It is time for GNA TV. Maybe once, a day, but that 2 hours of your day, you get to sit here, you get to talk to the people that you know in the chat, you get to listen to me talk a load of crap, and on top of that, you get the panel. So loads of everyone getting involved as well. Big up to every single one of you as well. But today's news is a sort of new owner show. I try and get a new owner update showing for you guys at least once a week, just to discuss if there is any news at one day like we've had today, the discussions around where we're at, where we stand, what the scenario is. Are we any closer to having this new owner? So we'll go through some of the talk today as well. But we've got to go through the chat first. We've got to go through the chat. Albert's saying this news is cap, and I actually partly agree with him, to be honest. So we'll be getting into that in a bit. RD, big up to you as your comment on Tammy Tack. It's true though, man. I know people get so frustrated. I had one comment, someone called me a bellend. Why? Because he thinks I compared Tammy to a 29-year-old Lukaku. But there's many weird people on Twitter, man. There is many weirdos on Twitter. Big up to Sosa in house. I don't blame him. They owe 1.5 billion. He's not even getting $1. Sell his own club, so I can't be mad at him. Yeah, fair enough. I hear what you're saying. Big up to Top Bins, Owain, Charlie, Daniel, Nathan, Gavman, M3. Big up to you, my bro. Big up, Jim. Can't go 1 week without Chelsea. I know. Do you know what the mad thing is? Being a Chelsea fan, it's actually it's just like it is a roller coaster. It generally is a roller coaster. Someone's just sent me some breaking news. We got some breaking. But it's not, wait, is it Big Chelsea updating coming tonight? But for those who are asking how to do it. Okay, cool. That goes with what we're going to talk to in a bit. Some breaking news that someone just sent me across from Ben Jacobs, which we'll be getting into later on as well. Loads to go through today, man. Loads of different viewpoints on the Chelsea ownership saga. Loads of loads of medias and journalists and certain individuals giving their thoughts on how they feel the position of the ownership saga is at the moment. Some of it's bad and trying to wrap the fan base. Some of it is very simple and literally simplistic. You could just, if you just read it and word it, you'd understand it. Then you've got some other people that are gunning down the information. That is a lot. We've got lots to go through. That's all I'm going to say to you guys. There's a lot to go through, and we will get into it because I'm going to invite some people on in a bit as well because I want to get their thoughts and opinions on this tie-up as well. Let's see what everyone's saying. No, big up to Dyke, Gav, man, Princeton, nice to see you. HM, big up to you. Daniel Knight, big up to you. Jonesy, Grey Wolf dinner. Well, yes and no, but there is news on that Ratcliffe bid, which we're going to be talking about as well. So stay tuned. Stuart, big up to you. Hassan, big up to you. Over 45 of you guys here. Nice to see you all in the chat. Actually, over 55 of you guys here, but get them likes up, guys. 23 likes only. Let's squeeze them likes up. Let's close that to 100 likes. Let's delve into what information we understand at this point as we speak as well. And we're going to start on the news that built over in regards to Roman Abramovich. And it was kind of where I would say everything started today. Because it was quite a quiet day on the Chelsea forefront. You just thought that Todd Boehly was getting on with the owners, trying to sort things out. We knew that the special licensing ends on the 31st of May. And it was more of a thing of like we were just waiting for that announcement, waiting for that confirmation of stages to be ticked. Government, Premier League, the potential meeting with Roman Abramovich, which Todd Boehly will have to have as well. Remember, Todd Boehly at this, as we stand, has exclusivity. He is in control of all these circumstances. And providing that he passes these certain stages that are left to come, then we should be having an owner announced very soon. Very, very, very soon, I would assume. And I'm saying well before the licensing date expires, which is the 31st of May. So let's start from what happened today in regard to some news. Now, this broke. The sale of Chelsea has hit a serious obstacle over fears that Roman Abramovich wants 1.6 billion loan repaid via Martin Ziegler. Now, I clicked into Martin Ziegler because I wanted to kind of like check his comments on this. Because the one thing that I kind of try and stay away from is the whole getting lured into it and becoming emotional to it. Being like, oh my God, we're going to go under. We're going to not be able to play in the Premier League next season. Like, relax. Just relax. So, exclusive from Martin Ziegler says, Chelsea FC's sale at risk amid concerns. Roman Abramovich is renegating on promise to write off the 1.6 billion debt. Now, as we already know, Roman Abramovich had already confirmed that he was willing to write off the debt owed from Chelsea Football Club to himself. Chelsea told government and bidders it wants to restructure the sale to include paying off debt from the parent company. Now, that's part and parcel of obviously the name of the topic today. And when I first saw this, I was like, okay, but it still doesn't make sense to me because when you think about the process and you think about Roman Abramovich's involvement, which we don't know, I still believe that he knows more than what we think he knows. I think he does know where he is in terms of staging. When this came up, it didn't really add up in my head. I looked here and I was like, we all know that there was a 1.6 million debt towards Chelsea. Now, if you're a new owner or a new bidder trying to take over this football club, you were already made aware of the plans around this 1.6 billion debt that Roman Abramovich was wanting. We were then told that he was willing to write it off and that this debt that was owed wasn't going to be re-included within the initial bid. Re-included into the initial bid, which had already been confirmed. So once it got through to the shortlist stage, they tried to sell themselves, and obviously Todd Boehly gets to go ahead. But from that period, moving on to the government to get the special licensing, approaching the Premier League to get sign off in regards to clear funds as well. A number of things, maybe Roman Abramovich discussions that will come a bit later on. I don't think there was once a moment where none of these bidders, nor the government, nor Roman himself or anyone, wasn't sure on where this 1.6 billion bid was at. The fact that it was then being used used in regards to the fact that it may now cause us implications, because once you see this comment from Martin Ziegler, which Stephen Swinford has obviously put out as well, once you read the comments about this, it kind of don't really add up to me. Like I said to you guys, it don't really, like, it's very hard to just make sense of it. And the fact that then we started seeing things like this, not this one, let's go to the comment from Simon Phillips, which came out straight after this. So the comment from Simon Phillips, which basically said that some sources claim that Chelsea would be expelled from playing in the Premier League next season if a sale has not gone through by the end of this month, and any minor delays would now put that in jeopardy. Jeopardy. Now, the one thing that we have been clearly told by the government is that they kind of want to get this done. Now, a lot of people still feel that the government may take as long as they want, because we know what the English government's like. They say one thing, they do the opposite. Fair enough. The fact that Chelsea Football Club have tried to restructure the deal and try and get the Roman Abramovich debt included within this bid at this point doesn't add up to me. Doesn't make sense to me. If this is something that Roman Abramovich was willing to have wanted to be sorted, then surely weeks ago, when Rain Group were looking for the preferred bidders and were talking to these bidders in regards to the categories of what was required, given from what we think is Roman Abramovich, why would it not have been included then? Why would he have then had this quick last moment at the final stage hurdle turn? Now, I feel deep down that, no offense to Martin Ziegler, I'm not saying he's talking shit, but if you've noticed, it's kind of been a sort of rift of other things coming out on top of that. Obviously, one like this saying that Chelsea won't be able to play in the Premier League next season. Now, all of this stuff that's being said comes on the back of Chelsea's special licensing running out on the 31st of May. So, if that is the case, why on the hell would not only Chelsea Football Club, and definitely not going to be willing to do that, but secondly, why would the government allow that to happen when they're not going to benefit from that? Chelsea in itself as a brand in London, for what it is and who it is, would not benefit the government in any sort of way, seeing them not being able to in many ways just trade like normal, or allowing them not to trade like normal, for them to go into not playing in the Premier League next season. I think it's a bit of a smokescreen. It's what I'm trying to get at. I feel that this news is a bit of a smokescreen against what is actually really happening. And what I feel is actually really happening at the moment is that Todd Boehly is just going through the stages that he needs to. The next question to that is, how quick can he get through these stages? I just feel the Roman Abramovich news, it didn't really make much sense to me, especially when it came out. And what I feel like sometimes media do, especially to the Chelsea fan base, or Chelsea social media, should we say, is they try and sort of like cause a panic, and then you start seeing a bit of a rift. Oh no, what are we going to do? Roman wants his money back. Oh no, Chelsea trying to restructure the 1.6 million bid into the costings of, what the new bidders are going to have to pay out. Oh no, the government's special licensing agreement that they had originally is going to have to be pulled back, overturned because of this news. Yeah, this is all bad news, don't get me wrong. But I just don't see how you get to that point at this stage. Sometimes you've just got to simplify it with your head. And we had this comment here from David Dawkins. Now, he's no one massive. He might have a blue tick to his name, but he works for Forbes. That's what I know. He's a writer for Forbes in London. Yeah. And he came out and basically said that Abramovich's loan, we all got that briefing. We all tested it. We were all told if he tries to do that, the license to complete the deal will not be offered. Boehly and Rain are just Boehly and Rain are just not that dumb. Relax. And then he goes on to say that plus DCMS jaw hit the floor when that was put to them. Did not see it as plausible given the tone, terms, and time frame given to Chelsea. Plus, Rain Group should be the ones putting this to bed. The RA statement has already been addressed. Already addressed this. We cannot totally rule out RA being RA, is what he's saying. Point is a total fudge. Apologies, but we just can't rule it out. I would just expect Rain to pull out if these demands were made. Now, I kind of agree with him. Time frame is the biggest word here, where he talks about terms and time frame. And the fact that Todd Boehly has now been put in an exclusivity stage within that period, it wouldn't make any real sense as to why Chelsea Football Club, and I'll start with them, Chelsea Football Club would want to restructure the deal at this point when they've already put, shall I say, them and Rain have already put Todd Boehly in the forefront to kick things forward. They all know what the deadline is. Roman Abramovich himself knows what the deadline is, guys. Like, he knows when this is it. This is done. And people may say, yeah, but why should he have to lose 1.6 billion? I get it. I understand it. I don't. Not at this stage. Because he'd made it very evident that he was willing to write that off. Writing it off means you don't get it. It just gets signed off. Now, some people were trying to say that the government's got an involvement in this again, because by writing it off, what they're trying to say is that Roman Abramovich himself wants to write the debt off himself. But because of the sanctionings that he finds himself within the football club, he cannot do that. They won't allow him to. They won't allow him to access funds, transfer funds, do any sorts of business within the UK. So maybe there is a little bit of a stance point when it comes to writing off the debt, in terms of, all right, I'll write it off, no problem, but I need to write it off. It's still against the name of the football club. This needs to be cleared. Maybe that might be upon an issue, but I still just don't see how at this point it all goes downhill. I still think that this is a bit of a smokescreen, and I still think that in the bigger picture, Todd Boehly and his special licensing agreement with the government and all of the tests that he's passed up to this point, which has been over too long, should we say, should be foreseen through. Big up to Jester. He says, well, Chelsea's not worth 3 billion at most. It's worth 1.5 billion. And debt was always included. That is why he asked for the additional 500 million for charity. That's true. The 500 million for charity was an addition onto the charitable money that was being offered. Chelsea are worth 1.5 billion, but 1.5 billion of that was going to charity. So that's why it would, for me, push it up more to the network. Yeah, well, it's not worth 3 billion. You're right, but we'll push it to the 3 billion in terms of funding being provided. But I still don't include writing off the debt, though, Jester. Because the charitable money that's being put forward, I don't know if he means he's using the loan that's owed. Sorry, the money owed from, or the debt owed from Chelsea as the money to go charity. Not too sure. Wouldn't be able to confirm. But big up to Liam Lane in the house as well. Over 85 of you guys here. Big up to everyone. Make sure we smash that like button, guys. Subscribe if you're new to GNA TV. Get these likes over 75 and work our way to the 100, guys. Delving into this stuff. I think Roman is banking on the UK government backing down so he gets his money. I think that there's an element of truth to that. I think when you look at his relationship with the government behind closed doors, it was always quite merry. Now, they may have wanted to force him out. Yeah, I'm just reading a Sky Sports comment. They're just reapplying that Abramovich has actually asked for the 1.5 billion loan, which is what I've just read on my phone. Now, what was I going on about? I've just gone brain dead. Now, I feel in some sort of way behind closed doors something is happening. I feel that maybe potentially they're putting on a bit of a smokescreen in front of us, the media, the fan base, as to where they actually are with it all. But at the same time, that's something that we're never going to find out. But the one most important thing that we need to understand is that this has to be sorted before the deadline day of the 31st, when the special licensing runs out. It has to be done. We can't be in a position where Chelsea are asking for the whole initial bid to be restructured. It can't happen. Not only will the club not be able to succeed moving forward, but Thomas Tuchel may find himself wanting to look away because he wants a certain sort of confirmation that there will be a backing, that there will be some sort of. He don't want to go into another season with the same issues. The Chelsea hierarchy, the football club, will want to get this move quickly, you know, and get the club trading as efficiently as possible. You know, yes, the government may bend over backwards to increase that extension, but I don't see that happening. I don't see how you stop Todd Boehly. I don't generally see how you stop Todd Boehly. Big up to Declared in the house as well. Nice to see you. Let's go back to the sticking point about the Abramovich thing. And then we're going to move on to Todd Boehly. And we'll talk a little bit about Todd Boehly, where he stands currently with it. And then we're going to throw in some people, get their thoughts and opinions as well. Get this over 100 likes. Only 20 minutes in. 85 of you guys here. Big up to you. As always, guys, big up to you. So this was the break-in. And this came in from Ben Jacobs himself. And it was sort of came out at 7:10 today. So it's quite early news. 2 seconds, actually. Did I bring up that? I was meant to bring up something as well. 2 seconds, people. You know, I'm trying to keep myself... This is it. That's it. I want to talk about this after that, and then we'll go into that, and then we'll open up the lines. So... Ben Jacobs recently says, big Chelsea update incoming tonight, people. So make sure that you keep your eyes threaded on Twitter, social media. But for those asking how to deal with the 1.6 billion in debt owed to Abramovich remaining a sticking point, simplest solution and government preference is to convert debt to equity. Okay. This would weaken the share price, but resolve the situation. So turning the debt into equity is an interesting one because it's it's something that can happen, that can be done, but in terms of Roman Abramovich, if you're Roman Abramovich and trying to facilitate any sort of earning from that, or even in many ways using that equity, if it's true, to move it across as charity money towards Ukraine, which is he wants to do. Does it make it easier for him to do that as it being equity, rather than being anything else? That's the thing. Equity is a bit of a funny one for me. My full understanding of equity is not fully clear in it. I know part meanings of how it can be used. My actual terminology and understanding of how equity would work in football terms, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Yeah, I know, but it's yeah. For me, I don't know. I don't know with that, Ben Jacobs. I don't know. We move on anyway, and he says here the only other option is for the new owner to take on the debt at a book value. Yep, which is the original asset. But in the same way, Abramovich can't legally write it off without government help. Chelsea can't pay it off under sanctions. So the notion Fulstrom can just wire Campbell 1.6 billion is hugely problematic. So that's cool, Ben Jacobs, but that's not an issue. But then why was Roman Abramovich allowed to exalt a certain amount of funds into Chelsea not long ago? Why is it problematic when the government allowed him to do that and we still don't understand really why he was allowed to do that? Surely, if the last jigsaw in the puzzle is to allow Roman Abramovich, or shall we say Fulstrom, which is the entity that supplies funds into Chelsea Football Club, that's where the funding ultimately comes between. They allow Fulstrom to in many ways pay off the debt or take on the debtor's value or clear the book value of Chelsea and then take on the debt, which I don't think they could do. Why not do that? Because at least then it removes it from Chelsea Football Club because of the funding paid towards it, and then that debt then gets eliminated to Fulstrom. Fulstrom at the moment is heavily sanctioned. So what ends up happening with Fulstrom is that it just sits there under the sanctioning periods with a 1.6 billion debt against its name. The issue is it breaks the law and code of the government. The government itself has made it very clear that the reason that these sanctions are in place is to stop the financial movement of the one Roman Abramovich. It's been one step forwards, two step backs the whole time. Big up to Sarah in the chat as well. Sky Sports are loving this as well, makes the whole thing worse. Yeah, because it's just media on top of media. It's bullshit on top of bullshit. I really don't feel that this is the case. Haiku Mine says, the used to happen with sensitive contract charges to deal as last minute. So I'd ask you guys in the chat about the equity. Does it make any sense to you guys? For me, like I said, I can't really delve into it massively and explain to you what it means from a footballing sense. But if you feel that you have a better idea of what may be happening, put it in the chat. Please do so. Smash the like button as well. I'm here. I might be the one talking, but I'm here to obviously see what you guys have got to say in the chat as well. Arbas is saying, pick up to Arbas. He's saying equity is a part ownership in this case. Technically, yeah, in a way. Big up to Ice Cold Beverages as well. Big up to everyone in the house. 115 of you beautiful people here. Big up to everyone. I haven't finished on Ben Jacobs yet because now he's saying the Jersey-based Camberley are outside of UK government remit. Company is believed to be Abramovich controlled. That means Fortune couldn't make them a payment now. If so, if that was the plan, UK Gov would block the sale. So basically, if there is one stumbling block in all of this, it's the fact that the government, because of the sanctions that are put on it, will not allow the movement of funds between A and B, even though it's for the right cause, even though it's for the fact that we need to move this progress forward. How it affects Todd Boehly, I don't know. In terms of Todd Boehly, he'll be looking at it as, let me just buy this football club for what it's been worth, what I've been asked to value it at and pay for it, and allow me to just get the club going again. What Roman Abramovich has got going on in terms of writing off the debt and transferring funds that take the debt off Chelsea's name, surely that can be sorted out at a later stage. You'd think so. You would assume so. So a new owner would effectively instead inherit debt they can currently pay back. So a new owner would effectively instead inherit debt they can't currently pay back. And if they had to borrow extra to run the club because of allocating funds to one payday this back, they may also get less preferable interest rates, or they have to inject more of our own money. Well, the answer to that, Ben Jacobs, is he would have to inject his own money. It's just how much of a hole would 1.6 billion do? And he's right. Interest rates may go up on that clause. The longer that you're sanctioned and not unable to trade could be an issue. It's a weird one. Boehly's group or any new owner won't be comfortable taking on the debt unless there is a clarity as to how, when, or if they can pick it back. That's why the debt to equity approach is simpler. The debt to equity. I need to know. Sorry, guys. I need to know the meaning of this properly. I hate not knowing the meaning of things. So the debt to equity ratio is used to evaluate a company's financial leverage and is calculated by dividing a company's total liability by its shareholder equity. There you go. I mean, it's pretty technical, guys, out here. It's pretty technical. It makes sense. I get what you're saying. Evaluate a company's financial leverage and it's calculated by dividing a company's total liability by its shareholder equity. So, his shareholder equity is quite high. So, I don't know how they work that out. Don't ask me how they work out leverage on debt. I ain't here to do that. Yeah, I know, Sirs. Big up to you, my man. Big up to you. There has been big movement on it. He doesn't mind funding UK Nazi, but God for Roman makes any money from this sale, is what Vincent is saying. Big up to Vincent. Alfie, yo, Jem, how's it going, bro? Big up to you, my man. All good in the house. Over 120 of you guys here. Big up to every single one. Roman owns 100% of Chelsea, which means he's directly or indirectly the equity holder currently. New owners, if debt to equity is done, it will just dilate Rom's equity to less than 100%, so no sense. So again, Litton, from what you're saying there, Roman doesn't actually benefit in any way from doing this, even though it would move smoother by having the equity option. it still wouldn't work in any favour of Roman Abramovich if he was to go down it. And the only other way he can maybe go around it, if not involved in equity, is by writing it off out of his own pocket. But he can't do that because the government won't allow him to do so. Big up to you, mate. Big up to you. Sarah says, do you know what if Roman Abramovich wants his dollar, then okay, fair, but why now? And that's my point, Sarah. Like, why now? Like, why was this not included in the initial offering to the bidders? Now, the bidders wouldn't have liked the idea of taking on the debt, but I'm sure there's something that could have been agreed upon or organised upon or included in. You know, like, I don't know. Hafiz, big up to you, man. Hafiz, big up to you. He doesn't benefit if the UK government is done, which they're not. Well, I just don't see how it, I just don't see how this all affects the stages, is what I'm trying to get at. Now, people panicking that, you know, oh, Chelsea won't be able to do this, won't be able to do that. Worst case scenario, correct. But do I see that happening at this point to our football club? Not entirely, no. Not entirely, no, is the answer to that. Now, I want to go to Rob Draper's comments quickly, and then we're going to get some people in as well. And then we're going to Todd Boehly news. We've got a bit of Todd Boehly news. I want to finish off on this Roman news because it's a bit crazy. If Abramovich now wants his 1.6 billion loan paid back, is reported, then Chelsea have a huge existential problem. UK government have always insisted that this can't and won't happen. Clock is ticking on the 31st of May, which we already know, but it's more serious than a complex. And there's a little thread here from Rob Draper. Rob Draper is the chief underwriter of the Mail on Sunday. He says the Premier League meet on the June 8th to constitute the new leagues for 22-23 if Chelsea aren't licensed to operate by then. So what he's doing now is he's listing what the implications are of not sorting out this deal or getting this deal signed off before the special licensing goes. If Chelsea aren't licensed to operate by then and they are only licensed now on UK government sufferance, they can't be part of the Premier League. Simple. So again, and from what we've been told by the government, which we're going to find out and see in the next couple of weeks, I would say, is how serious are they about allowing us to get back to normal trading? How quick will they allow Chelsea Football Club to get back to normal trading? Because from what is being said here, this is pretty much an certainty. This will happen. On the June the 8th, the Premier League has its new discussions with the teams for 2022-2023 season. If Chelsea are not trading as per normal, they can't be included in that. All right, -1. Where that would leave Chelsea is a moot point. All along there has been this nagging doubt. If Abramovich does put in his bidding, then he's putting about to allow 2.5 billion worth of Russian assets to go to UK government and end up in the hands of US private equity. Probably not when you think about all the economical issues that are currently happening with both Russia and the rest of the world. Can be an issue, but then again, I still think that's some if and a but when you think about what Putin's going to do, because none of us know where he stands. If Abramovich thinks UK government will blink because they don't want to see Chelsea fold go into administration, then he's gambling it hugely on government's malleability. A good bet, you might say, but in no doubt, if he wants debt repaid, Chelsea future is at stake with clock ticking. Basically, there's not many options for him at this point. And that's why I keep saying to you guys, do you not think, as someone like Roman Abramovich, who has the knowledge in business, the businessman that he is today, do you not think or feel that he would already have known this stuff, or he would understand where his positions are, even at this late point? Him or Chelsea Football Club getting to this point and trying to restructure a deal to allow the debt to be paid makes no sense to me. And that's why I feel that there is a big smokescreen there. I don't feel that a lot of this is true. I could be wrong, but then again, I'm only giving you my thoughts and opinions and how I feel about it. And aside, intriguing how last minute Ratcliffe's bid mimicked the Abramovich language. Ratcliffe wants proceeds to go to charitable trusts to support victims of war. Abramovich initially wanted to set up foundations for the benefit of all victims. So do you feel that Ratcliffe's trying to do a one-up on trying to get Abramovich on side. Potentially. Almost as a bid was tailor-made to be what Abramovich wanted, and yet all along it's been clear neither Roman nor Ratcliffe get to decide where the money goes. It's for UK government to decide. If Roman agrees to sell right now, that's a sizable if. They're saying at the moment it's a sizable if he agrees to sell. Well, I don't see how he don't, unless he wants this club to fold and not be involved in football next season. And I do think, all money aside, Roman Abramovich will look at the long run and want to go pretty much all the way with the government in trying to get these funds back at a later stage. But at this point in now, time is ticking. He hasn't got the tools to be able to get something agreed any sooner. The club needs a new owner. The club needs to trade. The club needs to be sold. As upon his statement, a statement that he brought out himself that clearly stated that he was going to sell this football club. Oh, very nice. Keep me updated, guys. Keep me updated. Imagine if they come down to May the 30th and there was a genuine chance Chelsea could fold, but somehow on a Ratcliffe bid would save the day if only the UK government agreed to let the proceeds to an independent charitable foundation. Well, that would be better than letting Chelsea fold. So basically, worst case scenario, because of Ratcliffe's offerings of his bid, fitting not only Roman Abramovich but the government, potentially Roman Abramovich, potentially the government may allow a last minute proceeds to kick in. Worst case scenario, providing Todd Boehly doesn't cruise to this, which I still think he will. And Roman will have to agree to it, I think, personally. And who could object if this is a war to come to politics changes to Roman Abramovich being trustee of the foundation? That way we would see Roman as the true humanitarian he is, rather than sanction Putin's crony. In the words of the own QC, Jonathan, they got to Rob Draper. So there you go, guys. That's where we are with it all. It's all a bit mind-boggling. It's all a bit confusing. It's all a bit up in the air. It's all a bit of, are we there? Are we not? Like, is it? All I'm going to say is that could this be a bit of a stumbling block? Of course it is. But why would this Roman Abramovich news come out now at this point in the period that we find ourselves? That, for me, don't make sense. You know, that for me just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Big up to everyone in the chat, though, so far. We're going to talk a little bit more on Todd Boehly. Quickly on Todd Boehly, guys. Now, we're going to delve into Nizar Kinsella's comments on Todd Boehly as we stand at the moment. So he's saying that if Boehly's bid somehow collapses, there's expectations from both Broughton and Pagluka that they'd get brought back in. This is instead also Jim Ratcliffe, who has circumvented Rain Group's structured process with a late approach directly to Chelsea. It all feels a little bit messy. And this goes on the back of a comment from Matt Law earlier on that said Boehly's bid remains on track despite Ratcliffe's trying to crank up the pressure and Broughton's consortium remaining on standby. Ratcliffe has met the CST, but not yet responded to. I'm going to get to the Matt Law comment in a second. But again, I'm going to say this to you guys. It's a big if and but. If Todd Boehly's bid collapses, I will tell you now 100% that the new person to take over this football club will be Jim Ratcliffe. I almost guarantee that. And that's not only because he's a Tory and he's got government on side. His bid apparently is not as big as the others. But it's the fact that I think the single owner thing will also pull Roman Abramovich aside, along with the option of, along with the additional charitable foundation which he's willing to put forward as well. So I would say that it's all in Todd Boehly's hands because again it's and buts. But we have to see that Boehly is done by next week. Boehly still is done is what Julian's saying. Villarreal, go on, let's do it. Yeah, big up to Villarreal. Please beat Liverpool. Please go and beat Liverpool. I just don't see it happening. I genuinely don't see it happening. And then we move from that. I'm going to send this to, because I was meant to send this to some people as well. Let me get them on while we're talking. Time goes so quick, guys. You know, I was meant to get Matty on. We'll give him the link and Couch. Just give Matty and Couch a link as well. The boys, you've got some boys coming in a bit as well. So there's your Nizar Kinsella comments, which makes sense. So now we're going to go and switch over to Matt Law, Mr. Matt Law, who comes out with this comment saying Boehly's bid remains on track, despite Ratcliffe trying to crank up the pressure and Broughton's consortium remaining on standby. Ratcliffe has met CST but not yet responded to an attempt from Paul Canaville to talk. And then we have this comment down here from him. There was more comments to this. I don't know why I can't see this. Basically says, we'll bring Matty in the background as well. I'm just quickly doing this. Canaville said, we have reached out to Mr. Ratcliffe through his media team, but not heard anything back. I want what's best for Chelsea and our fans, but I do think it is important to hear about all interested parties' views on tackling racism, diversity and inclusions. Now, the truth is, maybe Ratcliffe in the background knows that there's going to be an issue with the Roman Abramovich and the debt thing. He already knows that by agreeing to fund some of the charitable funds to Ukraine will also be a big tick for Roman Abramovich. Maybe he's setting himself up. Maybe he is setting himself up for the worst, for the greatest case scenario, that Todd Boehly either falters throughout the stages, or maybe he's not willing to do what maybe Ratcliffe is requiring Tarafa to do, which Roman Abramovich may find more interesting. So, I don't know. This could be... I think Ratcliffe's setting himself up for Boehly to fall. I don't think Boehly's going to fall. I personally don't think Boehly's going to fall off his bridge, and I don't see how he does unless the government or the Premier League finds something that they don't like to see. But if Roman Abramovich, if these links are true in regards to Roman Abramovich not being happy or wanting that 1.6 billion, which I don't think he is, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it's true. Roman Abramovich wanting that 1.6 billion to be paid, I don't see how Todd Boehly... I don't see how you can force that upon Todd Boehly to do now. And I don't think it's something that can happen at this point. I just think they're well too far ahead. You don't give exclusivity to someone at the final stages to then say, that we want to restructure the bid, which is what they're doing. And that's where it's all confusing. That's why I do feel there's a slight smokescreen. And to be honest with you guys, I feel there is a smokescreen on all of this. And I do feel that Todd Boehly is probably on his way to getting this sorted. What we've seen today is all of the bad news elements of what could happen if Chelsea don't sort out the new buyer owner by the 31st, which is why Matt Law and other people that I've already shared with you have come out sharing the Premier League won't allow Chelsea to play in the Premier League next season. What, you think the government's going to allow that? As big as Chelsea is in London, I again don't think so. I mean, Matt's nodding his head. Matt, what are you saying? I know all of this crazy saga today, as always.
Do you know what? It was to be expected, wasn't it? I mean, it's never a quiet day being our supporters, really, is it? I mean, I broke a news bit this morning by saying that there was going to be a alternative backup if Todd Boehly's bid did fail. And I brought it up this morning and I said, I bet you any money that Sir Martin Broughton's bid would be the first one to be brought up. And within 2 hours, I think Matt Law had already confirmed my assumption. And I actually had seen it on brief tweets. The difference is that when you consider the Ratcliffe bid and the Pagliuca bid, they're both equally the same. In other words, they still have to get rid of shares. They still have to do that process. And time is not what Chelsea have got right now. Boehly's coming in and he's got nothing. All he's got is different entities like the Lakers and the Dodgers, which doesn't really affect Chelsea the same. When you consider that the way that Sir Martin Broughton's dealing with it as well, Josh Harris and the other guy have to sell their shares in Crystal Palace. So that's not going to get done quickly. But I have a sneaky suspicion, I think because Jim Ratcliffe has he was already dismissed from the idea anyway by the Chelsea board and Rain Group. And I tweeted that not so long ago, that he was already dismissed from it. So for me, I can see, I can't see Boehly losing this, to be quite honest with you. I really can't see Boehly losing this.
What about this news on Roman Abramovich. Like, do you feel that's another big smokescreen? Do you feel there could be some truth to this? Why would he do this at this stage, Matt? Is my question. Why would he now go, oh, actually, let's get this 1.5 billion debt sorted out?
I think it's just a smokescreen, to be quite honest with you. I think we've had this media circus since this started. If you think about it, we had the Ricketts. The Ricketts were all, oh, we're going into this. We've got this offer on the table. It's all looking good. They've met with the shareholders and everything else. And then on the last minute, they pulled out. And then that was it. It's exactly the same as this. It's the same with what Radcliffe's doing. It's dirty tactics. And personally, I can't see Roman Abramovich doing that, to be quite honest with you. He said it himself that he was looking to convert the debt into equity. So, and from what I read before, there's a high chance that could happen. So it just kind of gets wiped. So,
yeah, I mean,
for me, it's just weird overall, man. I mean, it's
I read into the Ben Jacobs comment about turning debt into equity, and that don't make sense to me in terms of like football, how that works or what works. I can't get my head around that. I just feel that it's all of this has come at a weird time. Like, why after all of this process would they then bring up him wanting this debt sorted or this debt? You know what I mean? Because I get it to a degree, right? He can't pay off the debt himself because they've sanctioned him, so he can't clear it off their name. They won't allow Fulstrom to fund some money into it and then take the debt on themselves. What other options has he got to try and write this debt off Chelsea's name that's currently standing, unless the new owners that come in take that debt on, which who are not going to want to do that? What other option you got?
or he's just or he's calling the government's bluff. That's one way of doing it. Or he's actually trying to kind of get a little bit more of his money back. I'm not too sure. But
I don't think this is about money, him putting money back in his pocket. I think this is about because if you guys saw today, they did say something about Boris Johnson wanting to take the proceeds of the sale and put it towards grassroots football or something like that, right? I mean, Roman specifically made a claim that he wanted the proceeds to go to the war victims and whatnot, and this is a complete about face to that, right? So I feel like, Roman probably is putting it out there as such because he's just pissed off because he's made all these concessions to set up this charitable fund or whatever, and they're just going right against it, So this might be some sort of retaliation of some sort, to hold up.
To me, you can't.
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand any of this stuff, to be honest.
No, but this is the thing.
Confusing.
I done this stream because not only am I trying to do once a week on new owner updates, but I wanted to just kind of get your thoughts because I'm reading it and I'm like, I kind of get it to a degree, but it's like I like Couch. All the way through this, a lot of it just don't make sense to me. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird. It's like I would make a stream where it don't make sense, but it's just like trying to understand it. It's weird.
And so much of it is just we're basically at the behest of the UK media, and all they want to do is continually give us these little nuggets to eat off of morsels and whatnot, and just take us down these dead end tunnels and stuff like that. So it's very hard. It's not like watching a football game where you can deduce your own conclusions about what you see and whatnot. This is basically the government, the UK media, basically taking us down this whatever dead end street, and just sensationalizing something that it really doesn't need to be sensationalized.
This is what I asked you, Catch. So why would they allow? And this is why I still can't get I'm trying to see how it can go wrong. Why would the government, Chelsea Football Club, Todd Boehly, everyone that's involved, Bruce Buck, why would they not get a deal sorted? You've already given exclusivity to Todd Boehly for the final stages. To whatever they are, to sign off with the government special licensing, maybe speak with Roman Abramovich, sign off with the Premier League. But knowing that after the 31st, even with a government extension and the fact that we're not actually trading because we have no owners properly, we're not trading as normal, why would they allow us to go down the route of potentially not being able to play in Premier League, having a 25-point deduction like what Lee's saying here in this chat here as well. It makes no sense for everyone or anyone to do that, even Roman Abramovich, to allow that to happen. Do you get what I'm saying?
I really do think that Chelsea's too big to fail. Like, let's be honest here. They employ thousands upon thousands of people. There is the emotional attachment to the club that, you know, millions upon millions of people have right now. It seems like drastic measures when you consider what this club means to just the GDP of the UK. Like, this is a really, really big club. So I don't know. I don't know what can be done, because again, what we're getting is just like these little snippets of what is actually going on, and there's nothing that we can actually really sink our teeth into. There's no, like, this has never happened before, so there's no precedent for any of this, right?
Well, my question to you would be this: do you worry when you see these comments come out about Brian Mayborn and this, and that? Do you worry as Chelsea fans that we might not get the deal done? Does it ever put a bit of uncertainty in your head, or do you feel that Todd Boehly will maybe just get what needs to be done out of the way?
Yeah, I'm worried still, because like, this is Chelsea, and like, even just our deals to get, you know, our players over the line take an exorbitant amount of time, right? And I know it's not the same parties involved and whatnot, but that's just my opinion on what happens at Chelsea. You know, we take a long time to get things done regardless, right? So I don't know if it's going to get to the point where we are unable to operate as a club next year, or, you know, we don't get our license. I just think the Premier League isn't that stupid, and the UK government isn't that stupid. I would hope, at least. You know, this is just too big a club
the government
to allow for something like that to happen.
Trust me, they're thick.
The UK government. We yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about Ratcliffe, guys, because it's been a bit draining talking about Abramovich and whatever. But Ratcliffe seems to be doing all the right things behind closed doors, is what I'll probably say. He's apparently had meets with CST and done that. He still hasn't spoke to Paul Cannaville yet, which is something that they're probably going to organise. He's talking about sending the money to charity, or the charitable cause of Ukraine, as a part of his offering under his bid. He's, you know, he hasn't supposedly put in the biggest bid compared to the likes of Pagliuca, Todd Boehly, and whatever else. But in terms of the offering and the connection to the government, being a Tory, you know, all of these things. I mean, Matt, do you feel that Ratcliffe's kind of setting himself up for the potential of a hope that maybe if Todd Boehly may fall, or even to the point where Roman Abramovich does just not want to sell because of this? Let's just say the debt thing becomes a bit of an issue. Do you feel that he's maybe setting himself up for that fall to be the next person in line? Because I do think the government will go for him if Todd Boehly does not get this.
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I feel as though that Ratcliffe, in my humble opinion, is doing dirty tactics. It's kind of shown that all the way through. He's kind of shown that he's kind of wanting to show that Clear Lake Capital, he doesn't want them to be owned by an equity company and all this, that, and the other. As far as Ratcliffe is concerned, I think ignoring, like, because there has been talks from Paul Cannaville that he hasn't even met Paul Cannaville yet, and he's kind of ignored even trying to engage with Paul Cannaville, which is a really, really bad move. So that's kind of not a good idea. As far as like Ratcliffe is concerned, I think, if I can be brutally honest, if he's been kind of rejected by Rain Group and he's rejected by Chelsea, he hasn't really got much of a chance. He might be like, you know, Roman Abramovich might say, do you know what? We could go for a rogue offer. That could happen. But I can't see them going for somebody that's gone past the process. But it hasn't, again, I will stress, it has happened before. So, you know, it's, you know, we'll see. But I mean, as far as Ratcliffe, I think he's had one of the lowest bids on the table. He's not much better, really. I don't think, from what I've read, it wasn't much better than the Ricketts. The Ricketts was one of the lowest. Ratcliffe was not that far off. Broughton's bid was higher, and Pagliuca was higher. So it's really not better. As far as Ratcliffe is concerned, the one I want to point out to everybody on this stream. The 1.75 billion was to go to the club, right? So for it to be used later. The 1 billion goes to transfers. Sorry, the 1 billion goes to the stadium. That leaves 750 million to be spread over 10 years. That's 70 to 75 million. That ain't a lot for a transfer budget. Everton have got a bigger transfer budget than we have.
Mm. You're cutting
you know,
out.
it's
you got to get off the Burger King, bro.
you got to
get off the Burger King internet, bro.
it's Starbucks, man. But yeah,
that's high grade.
Yeah, you know, only the best. But yeah, 70 to 75 million is not a lot, you know. So you've got to, you kind of got to be careful, really, as far as because let's face it, Everton, Manchester City, Man United, Liverpool, their transfer budget is incredibly high, and they're going to be challenging for the major trophies, and we need to do the same. So 70 to 75 million is not a good idea.
Yeah, Couch, how do you feel about it all with regards to Jim Ratcliffe? I mean, is he the one you want, or you still feel Boehly?
Dude, you already know I stay with this stuff. I don't trust any of these dudes, man. I don't trust any of them, man. It's just that simple. You know, this Ratcliffe deal, I don't know, man. It just feels, like I said before, the fact that it just came out of nowhere like that and it went public out of nowhere really does give me something. It gives me trepidation, and it makes me think about that for a second. It's not as simple as just like, well, I'm just going to throw this out there and then, you know, see what happens. Like, it's calculated. It's a calculated move. And I feel like it's calculated because it involves the government. Like, the government has some involvement in this, you know, and like everything that's come out now, like, okay, so Roman, look at the course of action right now. Roman requested that an extra 500 million be added to the bid. Why? I don't know. And then a couple days later, he's saying, okay, I want my debt, you know, I don't want my debt forgiven. I want that turned in. I don't even know what he wants to do with it, but like, he says he wants to call that back. Like, there's a lot of things. This wouldn't happen in the 11th hour. Like, he asked for the 500 million, and then he's asking for his debt to be returned. This, to me, just makes me feel like this whole dog and pony show that we're seeing right now is not over. You know, and Ratcliffe has something to say. All of this stuff is coming out at the exact same time. You know, if it was as straightforward as just like, well, Boehly won the bid, the exclusivity to negotiate with the club, and it's all said and done, you know, we're all good, then none of this would be rolling out the way it is. So again, I don't think it's done. I don't think it's as simple as just saying that Boehly has the preferred bid and we're fine. I think there's more to it than that. And that's where the worry is right now, because everything that Maddie said is true too. Like, that Ratcliffe bid is, what is that? You know, like, the number sounds impressive, but in the end, when you actually pick through the bones of it, it doesn't really amount to much. You know, 75 million a year. Yes, that's what I'm committing to the club. 75 million a year. That sounds like 5 shillings, man. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when you think about like what true transfer, you can't even get Lukaku for that now, man. You know, like, think about that, man. Like, that's truly what it is. You can't even get a Lukaku for 75 million, man. So anyhow, I'm sick of this, and I'm over it, and I really don't want to be dealing with this. I just want the season to end and for Chelsea to be in a position where they can go into the summer and, you know, bid on some like major targets. But I really don't think that we've heard the end of what's happening right now. I feel like this is just the beginning right now. This is just the beginning right now.
Oh, you do? You feel okay? You think it's going to be a storm of a May then, yeah?
Dude, I just feel like, basically, I just feel like everything that's coming out the last few days is just leading me to believe that there's more to it than meets the eye right now. And I don't know. Hoping I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hear you. I do hear you. I just want to say big up to Villarreal. Keep going. Get one more goal. Apparently Liverpool are getting absolutely battered over there at the moment. They're 1-0 up as well, Villarreal, 2 minutes in. They need one more goal and they'll be drawing. So, yes, big come on, Villarreal. Go and get another one. That'll be beautiful, them not losing to Villarreal, I tell you, especially being 2-0 up. So we'll take that all day. So All right, I want to just quickly talk a bit about Todd Boehly now, because obviously he is the leading guy in all of this, and it kind of feels that, for me, I know I get where Couch is going with it. The whole storm, there's a lot still to come from it. I get it, but I feel it may just be a storm. Lots of clouds, lots of smearing, making it hard for you to see is what is what I feel is going to happen. Which means that I sometimes feel that journalists, and not all of them, kind of spoon feed us with negative, but doom and gloom for the sake of just causing mayhem for no reason. Because the next day you probably get something that Todd Boehly's now 3/4 of the way through the process and he's nearly done, and the Premier League have agreed it and governments agreed it and whatever else, you know what I mean? And that's why I just feel like being a Chelsea fan, you just got to take it each and every day like it's completely a different story. But Todd Boehly, him being announced potentially as the new Chelsea owner, is there any real worries from when you see him approach, his consortium, that he's got to this point now? Is there any real worries for you, mate, looking at Todd Boehly becoming the new Chelsea owner? Would you look at him and worry in the long term? Are you worried about a certain partner within the consortium? Is there anything that you still think's not good, or do you think no, it's perfect? It's what Chelsea need. How do you feel about Todd Boehly?
Do you know what I had my doubts before even the process began. But I've started to become a little bit more relaxed about it. The only two entities that I worry about is the Clear Lake sort of consortium side, because it only requires either Todd Boehly to either fall out, or they don't agree on a target, or they're not prepared to release the funds. Or we lose out on a certain target because of talks not happening. That's the one thing that happens. That's one thing that we need to establish. I know the guy is a football fan, so that's great, but talk is cheap, action is more expensive. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I want to see. The other person I'm worried about is Weiss, because I understand what his role is to be a businessman. So every bit of that Todd Boehly's consortium has a role, and it's more structured. But if you look at, I think it was Ben Jacobs or somebody like that actually tweeted about it, he's only in it to make money. So there's always going to be one person in that deal that's going to make money. But the way that Antoine Weiss is talking, it's almost like he doesn't care about the business. He doesn't really care about it at all. All he wants is to make money. And that's a worry. But apart from that, I think Todd Boehly, I like the sound of him. I think he's got winning mentality, which is what we want. I think we would probably have a better scouting department, because at the end of the day, he's all about facts and figures and statistics. And I think, to be quite honest with you, I think that's something that we've lacked as a football club. We've just gone out and bought, I don't know, Lukaku or Fernando Torres, or some of these players that sounded good but never did anything. And we didn't do an extensive amount of scouting for these players. It didn't mean to say that there was no winning ethic behind it, but it just wasn't that we didn't scout them properly and they didn't fit Tuchel's system. Whereas if we had Todd Boehly in, he would bring his own scouts in and find out what would be better for that particular manager.
I worry about that, because you're saying he's going to bring his scouts in. Like, who are these scouts? It's not so much about the idea of having somebody that can, analyze data, or going with the Liverpool model. It's who are these people that you're bringing in, and can they analyze the data correctly? That's the marriage, right? I mean, I remember under when Emanalo, we used to use data back in the day. Eh? Like, don't get it twisted. All those players that Emanalo targeted, a lot of that was data use. The Salahs, all of those guys. I think we were using OptiStats back then, and it was documented that Chelsea were using that stuff. And, obviously we did a great job then analyzing the data and bringing in the right names, regardless of whether or not we use them to our benefit. But I'm not so concerned about what he's planning on doing, like, because analytics and whatnot is a part of every sport right now. You have to have an analytics department going forward in sport now. Everyone's using that stuff. It's just, who are you employing to do it? you know, and what you know, that's the biggest thing for me, you know.
The one thing though I will say is that he's developed quite a good, you know, scouting rapport with the Dodgers. He's also starting to do it with the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers did really crap this year, but they will bounce back, you know. And as you very well know, hopefully, Couch being American, you'll know
Canadian.
that they're Canadian. All right.
Right, very different.
But you know,
I'm Scottish.
I ain't Scottish, mate. I'm far from Scottish. I'm more Welsh than freaking Scottish, bro.
Go on, man.
But you know, he's got a proven track record. You know, you only have to look at the Dodgers and, you know, the Lakers. He's only just started with. There's a winning formula there. You know, so I have every faith. He's not like the Cronkies. He's not like the Glazers. He's going to come in and he's actually going to do pretty well. So, you know,
I would hope you're right, man. I would hope you're right. My only reservation, exactly, right?
Yeah, the Lakers are dead.
That's my only reservation. Like, yes, he's done well with the LA Dodgers and whatnot, but it's a completely different game here. You know, like
what was that? No, he isn't. No, he isn't. His company may be worth that, but him himself isn't. He's worth about 16 bill.
Where people need to be careful of when it says 400 billion in assets isn't money.
No.
It's not. That's what it's two different. I don't want to get into business technical stuff because that's not what we're going to do. But sticking to Todd Boehly, obviously, this is stuff that you want to hear. But for me at this point, I don't feel this is something that he's probably not thinking about, but would be at the top of his mind, if you want my honest opinion. I mean, there's talks about Todd Boehly's group wanting to open contract talks with Reece James, Mason Mount once takeover is completed. We currently know that a lot of our youth, should we say, La Cobem, are very underpaid. I mean, they're on some serious low money at the moment. And to tie these boys down, we already hear that Reece James has got interest from Real Madrid. You know, Mason Mount, not saying he's had any interest, but, you know, could potentially have the same. I think it is definitely something that he will want to increase upon. Is it something that has to be started straight away? Is it one of the most important things? Not at the moment for me, you know, not for the moment, because they're still I mean, these guys are still under contract for, I think, another 2 years, if I'm right in saying, Mason Mount and Reece James, top of my head.
I believe so.
So, you know, jumping into, you know, I need to pay even more money out, let me give you boys this much, you know, that can come at a later stage. He's also talks about let me bring this up as well, because this was quite confusing, this stuff. He had this interview and he was talking about tokenization in sports, and he was basically saying that loyalty programs, whether it's a Vivid Seats, Dodgers, Lakers, Chelsea, we're thinking about how do we have direct customer relationships that we can build upon. If a form of that comes in tokenization, then so be it. And then when you scroll down, it says here, Todd Boehly on tokenization in sports. If you want to buy stock in the Green Bay Packers, that to me is tokenization. You have no rights, you have no control, but you can say you have an interest in the Packers. So, and then he's saying, if we have direct access to our fan base, we can start thinking about lots of tiers of different fans that want different products. We're starting to think a lot about what we want to really give our super fans and how do we develop fans. Do you feel that this? I don't really fully understand the tokenization in sports personally, and I don't really get the whole, like, what will make the fans more special? Like, how does he bring the fans more close? Like, he calls them super fans with tokenization. What areas would they be using tokenization in the game? But with things like this, does it then worry you a little bit that maybe we could potentially be used as like a tester? That makes sense, for things that we're not used to in football, because I don't know anyone that's involved in tokenization in football. So do you get what I mean? Like,
can we define tokenization in this particular usage? I'm seeing it as like tokenization being as we are giving them incentives for wanting to buy packages or something like that, right?
Of what?
So it's like it's whoever, whatever it may be. Like I know in American sports, there's a lot of that, right? Like so you have a tier.
Example. I don't know. So tell me.
Okay, so you have certain. So for instance, like the LA Dodgers, for instance, right?
Yeah.
You'll have a tier system where like if you're in a certain seated area, you get this package, which includes these drinks and this and that and whatnot. And you may be able to get like some sort of a plaque that you put on the, I really don't know exactly.
It's like enhancement stuff. Yeah.
They're basically giving you exclusivity to things that the regular fans would not have. You know what I mean? So it's just like making like a season ticket holder and giving them their season ticket, and then they get like a
pouch.
Is it
not another way of making money for them?
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. That's 100% what it is.
Would it not cost the fans more to go down the route of tokenization?
It would cost us more, but if you want it, if it's an incentivizing package that you actually want, like so say they're giving you exclusive game jerseys or something like that, it's not 2-0.
Is it?
I'm still seeing 1-0 here. Somebody's
2-0 in a row. Liverpool are losing 2-0.
What?
No.
What's going on here?
Don't do this because I'm going at half time. If that's the case.
Me too.
It's 2-0. It's 2-0. Trent's done. Oh my God! Liverpool are losing 2-0 in the Champions League. What is going on, people? We'll probably still win. What is going on? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ram, I hope you're in the chat, buddy. I hope you're in the chat.
Ram, you're around for Prem Show, mate. Yeah, guys, let's get back to this, and then we'll finish off for the next half. The next half at 9 o'clock.
I just think that people are gonna pay for what they want, right? So if they put these packages in where you're saying, okay, well, you get this game-worn jersey, or it wouldn't be a game-worn jersey because there's only one you can give away, but like whatever, autographed jerseys or whatever, and then you get, some sort of like prawn sandwich, and then you get like, this whatever sort of beer, and you get to mix it in this like fan zone where somebody comes by and signs autographs. People will pay for that. People will pay for that, regardless of what we think. I wouldn't pay for that, but you would find people that will do that. So if you can create value that way for the club and, create revenue for the club in terms of like, increasing the transfer revenue, then you do what you got to do. I mean, people, I guess the worry there is just like, it's becoming a little bit more Americanized, but how different is that from like saying season ticket holders who are going in that, the boxes or whatever and paying for exorbitant amount of money for like, a prawn sandwich or whatever, or whatever, right? Like, it's just, you have to create value though. Like all those things have to do is you have to create value. And if there's no value, then nobody's going to buy it.
On some nights, they'll do X amount of fans come first, they'll get a free gift. I get that.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then, even like you get there early, you get to like actually take photos with the fans or with the team or something like that. Or, you meet you meet Tuchel, just stuff like that.
Okay, fair enough. Again, I don't see how it makes sense. Don't get me wrong. In terms of from a money perspective, and from a fan, you're right. Certain fans will love that. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I've got." It makes you feel more special, is the word, doesn't it? As a Chelsea fan, you've got something that other fan over there hasn't got because you can have.
That's exactly what it is. I went to Jamaica. Whenever I go to Jamaica, I normally don't stay on a resort, but I went with my wife when we were scouting out for our wedding there, and we're on the resort, and we just had like the basic like resort package or whatever, right? And then we met some people there, and they're like, "Oh, they give you the wristband. And the wristband tells you what level of resort stayer you are, essentially." So we had the basic one, and we met some people that had like the special one, right? And they're like, "Yeah, man. So you're not of this special one?" I'm like, "No, we're just regular." And he's like, "Oh." I'm like, "So what do you get?" And well, we get to meet with the manager and have a drink with him at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like it's just the prestige of knowing that they could do it. They get to go to this exclusive bar with the manager of the resort and have a drink with him. And then
but you're right. A good example of that is a really good example of that is when I go on holiday and you get like an all-inclusive package, and I go with the missus and you get like a band. They give you like a color band, and with that band, I can eat.
Exactly it.
Basically, I can eat everything I want and drink whatever I want, and it also includes like the branded drink alcohol. So rather than having their like house alcohol, right, you'll have like Jack Daniels, or you'll have, do you know what I mean? Like you have the branded stuff, and then you see other people with like purple like bands on them, and they can only have breakfast and lunch, but they can't have dinner. But you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner because you've got the band.
See how it's working.
Yeah. See, that makes sense, doesn't it? I can see what he's doing. Maybe it's not too much of a bad thing in an instance, but it just depends how it affects you going to watch the game. Because if the whole stadium becomes tokenized and you have to be at a certain level to have that seat, do you know what I mean? And and how do you get to that level? Oh, you have to put X amount in of X amount, or you have to be on a wait list. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would
assume exactly that's what's going to happen. But the thing I would say about Boehly that we have to be careful of and cognizant of is this like DraftKings thing, like the gambling. Like he's going to turn the whole fan experience into a gambler's like paradise, like in-game gambling. So, and they do it in football now too. So like, say for instance, Lukaku's about to take a free kick. What are the odds that he's going to score? What are the odds that he's going to hit the post? And that'll be in the moment of the game. You get to make these bets or whatever, like prop bets or whatever. I feel like that's where it's going to go. And that would be a lot more Americanization, a lot more of the Americanization that I sort of don't want to see. But I do expect that to happen. Like he's very big on the gambling aspects.
We got that already, though. We got Bet365 and different other things that do that. If Lukaku scores, you can earn this amount of money, and gambling is already there.
Like even the prop bets, though, like exclusive prop bets for clubs and stuff like that.
No, it's more of a bet upon, like they'll give you a special offer where if you bet on Lukaku, instead of it being 6-1, it's 12-1. But for that period, and like if you put money on that and it comes in, you win it. See what I mean? Like that sort of thing is what we've got set up. Come on. I thought someone said it's 3-0. I was like,
no, stop.
Nah. Liverpool are rattled though.
They're saving that for the second half when we're going to watch that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go watch it.
Going to go watch it. Yeah. And watch that. Then they'll score 4 because I'm watching it. Watch.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I'll go downstairs after coming off here. They'll be like fucking 5-2 Liverpool, and I'll be like, why? Like I came to watch the game. Don't do this to me. But Matty, let's go like any sort of say final thoughts. Is there anything you want to say left in regards to this whole owner scenario?
As far as this media circus is concerned, it's always going to be the same. You always hear the bad news first and then the good news second. To be honest with you, I've been, as much as I've kind of said a lot on Twitter, I'm quite relaxed about it. It's kind of like it's going to get done regardless. I think Boehly will probably be your man. And if not, there's always going to be another offer in the wings. So, and we're going to be just fine. I always, I kind of believe that, I kind of realized that I don't really see the likes of Pagliuca owning it. I can't really see anybody bad really owning it, really, because, Abramovich we're going to have the final say, isn't he? So,
I
hear you, Couch. Any final thoughts, mate, before we finish off?
Yeah, like I said, I don't trust anybody in this process. I think that a lot of what we're saying, a lot of what we're hearing right now is coming up for a reason. It's not just the sensationalization of the media and whatnot. Like I really do feel like the stuff that we're hearing from Roman, the stuff that we're hearing from Ratcliffe, they're going to intersect at some point. It's just going to. I just feel like something is going to happen there. But with that said, I'm hoping that the Boehly bid just goes through. Not because I trust Boehly 100% or anything like that. It's just because I want this thing to be over and done with as soon as possible, so we can get back to the business of Chelsea. Like the more this gets dragged out, the more this becomes an issue in the media, an issue, with politics attached to it, the harder it is going to be for Chelsea to successfully get into the transfer window and do the things that we need to do. So I want to see that. I want to see that addressed immediately, and I want to see. What's this? Yeah, fair enough.
That's a good one. That's a good
Fair
one.
enough. Fair enough. Well, you could probably, if in that instance, you could probably make some money off of him not scoring. You know what I mean? If you go the opposite.
Hey, Couch.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think of Mark Pulisic's cryptic message?
It's not the first time he said anything like that, though, right? Like he's actually come up. He's come up.
I know, bro.
He could be going. You know, I don't think that. It's funny because I was thinking about this whole Tuchel thing the last couple of days and how the rotation was kind of weird the last few matches or lack thereof, and he has nobody to answer to right now. Like he's basically just doing what he wants at this point. There was a time when Lukaku was playing regularly, and you felt like it was just because Tuchel was giving him a run because they just spent £97 million on this striker. And now he has no consideration for that. There's no overhead. It's not like Roman's going to come in and say, okay, you're not going to be a manager anymore because you're not playing Lukaku. It's basically he's got free rein right now. So I feel like he's making these decisions for football reasons for himself, and he's not taking consideration to what pressures might be. What pressures you might have from like the club itself. Yeah. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with that, guys. And we will talk more about players. We haven't had a debate show in a while. I'm kind of saving it up for a big debate show on what we've seen. We've got a debate show on that to do. We've got a debate show on Todd Boehly's plans. We've got a show to do on Todd Boehly's plans. What if once he gets announced, or the new owners get announced. Yeah, we're going to do a debate show on players, ins and outs, talk about some summer signings. There was a little comment earlier from Nizar Kinsella saying that Chelsea are going to offload one or two midfielders to either bring in Tchouameni or Declan Rice. How true that is, I don't know, but I don't want to think about it now because we haven't got an owner yet. So I'm sure there's plans going on in the background, guys. But make sure you smash the likes. Get this up to 100 likes, guys, before you leave. Hit that like button. It's a bit of a shorter stream today, as well as obviously there's a big game going on and a certain team is drawing. Let's pray that they go out. That would be beautiful against Villarreal. That will be beautiful, I tell you. And we'll be back for Prem show maybe, and then we've got preview show for the game against Wolves. And then who knows what happens with the owners? We might even have a new owner one if something big happens. So let's see what happens, guys. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day and night. We'll talk again soon.
Up the Chelsea, fellas. Up the Chelsea.
Up the Chelsea.